Fall is in the air, and now is the perfect time to create some quick and easy to make autumn cards. Hi everyone, I'm Yana Smakula, and welcome back to my channel. Let's jump right in. I'm going to show you how to create simple Thanksgiving or thank you or just hello fall cards using Spellbinders October 2018 Small Die of the Month. I have two different looks for you today, and I'm hoping you will give one or both of them a try using these dies or other dies from your stash. By the way, I wasn't asked to film this video. I'm not being paid to do so. I'm filming it and making these cards because it's fun and that's what I love to do. I did receive this die set for free from Spellbinders as I do work for this company. It's my day job, but they did not ask me to make these projects or film this tutorial. So the small die of the month from Spellbinders is what I'm using today, is basically a subscription club, and the dies that I'm playing with are available as a part of a club membership only. These are October small dies, and they will be available only until the end of October 2018. They might become available later if they do not sell out, and I'll update links in the video description if or once they do. Earlier this month, I shared a video with a cute truck die, and that was a large die of the month for October, also from Spellbinders, and a link to that video in case you'd like to check it out. Also, you can always find links to everything that I'm using in my tutorials in the description below the video, so be sure to check that out if you're ever looking for a specific product name or link. While you're at it, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and check the bell to get new video notifications. I'm starting by doing some die cutting, and I'll be heat embossing sentiments on the bottom portion of the acorns to create my cards. I'm using pattern paper to die cut the parts and pieces out, and honestly, this is not something that I do often. But I've been very much inspired lately by my friend Zoka from Germany, who does wonders with pattern papers, so I thought I would give it a try myself. There's a link to Zoka's blog in my video description if you'd like to check out her work. She's truly amazing. So here I've die cut the bottom parts of the acorn, and I'm going to use these as placeholders for sentiments for my projects. I'm going to white heat emboss several messages from this Thanksgiving table stamp set from Hero Arts. The size of these messages is perfect to go inside these acorns. And of course, you can use other stamps from your stash to heat emboss a cute little greeting on top of these to customize them for your projects. I've stamped my messages in clear embossing ink, I added white detail embossing powder, and now I'm heat setting these with my heat tool. To die cut the top part of the acorn, I'm going to use a little trick. The top part has a lot of die cut detail to it, but I actually want all of these pieces to stay put. I want to have a solid acorn hat. So to be able to achieve that, I'm actually going to thicken the paper and thus make it slightly more difficult for my die to cut through all of it. I've added a layer of double-sided tape to the back of my pattern paper, and I adhered this onto thin printer paper to make the overall piece a little thicker. I went ahead and die cut the acorn hat, and because my paper was thicker than usual, I don't have all of the little negative pieces falling out of my positive die cut. I have everything staying put. That's exactly the result I was going for, and it was super easy to achieve. Here are the two acorn hats side by side, one that's all nice and die cut, and another one that was die cut solid with the details staying in place. To dress my acorn cards, I want to also die cut a few leaves. I'm going to use these oak leaves from the reindeer and snowman set, and I'm going to die cut them out of patterned paper as well. And by the way, all the paper that I'm using today is from Cartabella. It's their Hello Fall collection from several years ago. So the leaves that I'm using are pretty much identical in shape, but they are different in size, and that's perfect for my card design. These also look like oak leaves, even though they are included in holiday sets, so they are meant to be used as holly leaves, but they do have that oak leaf shape to them. So again, that's a great match for my fall projects. To add some definition to my die cuts, I'm going to blend red ink around the edges. This will help hide the white core of my paper and will also darken the edges of my die cuts a little bit. It's a neat trick that I've discovered just recently, and it honestly helps to add interest and some dimension to your die cuts. I also used orange ink to blend the edges of my orange leaf die cuts. Time to assemble these cards. I'm going to start by foam mounting the acorn body onto a panel of white wood grain cardstock, and this is cut to 4¼ by 5½ inches, and it will later make the front of my card. I'm using glue to adhere the acorn hat, as I don't want to pop this element up. I'm also using glue to adhere all of the leaves, and I'm making sure to shape them with my fingers before I do that to help them look a little bit more dimensional. I'm layering the orange and red leaves here. Finally, I'm going to use sparkling clear jewels from Pretty Pink Posh to add as little clear accents onto my cards. I'm using my Tonic Studios Deluxe adhesive glue, and it looks white once applied, but it dries clear, so these will look perfectly clear once dry. Recently, I shared my new toy here on my YouTube channel, the Spellbinders Glimmer Hot Foil Machine, and I've been itching to try and foil these dies to see what kind of look I could get. So once I finished my pattern paper die cut cards, I went ahead and pulled out my glimmer. My idea was to hot foil an acorn hat directly on my card front, and here I'm using a sheet of pattern paper for this. Now my trick here, and I'm not sure if you can tell this or not, but the paper is not yet cut to size. It's not yet 4¼ by 5½ inches. It is larger. I will trim it to size later, but right now when I'm foiling, because I cannot see if I'm aligning everything in the center or not, I'm starting with a larger sheet of paper to be able to trim it down later if needed. And I'm glad that I used a larger sheet as my foiling wasn't centered and I did trim it down later. Also, since I'm foiling with a die and not a hot foil plate, I need to add a shim. And here I'm using 2 extra sheets of cardstock to increase the pressure and compensate the difference in height between the hot foil plate and the regular etched die. My glimmer plate was hot enough. I took it out of the base, I ran it through my platinum die cutting machine, it sits off to the side, and my first foiled piece is ready. It did not overfoil at all, and it looks gorgeous. I used matte gold foil here over this pattern paper. Now, the paper is actually slightly textured, and it's best not to foil over textured surfaces as you will not get a perfect foil transfer, but this actually worked out okay. I'm also foiling the bottom portion of the acorn, and here I'm using an insert die that reads Hello Fall. So if you die cut it, it will die cut the Hello Fall message for your acorn, but I do not want to cut it. I want to stamp it, if you will. Stamp it in foil or hot foil, so this is what I'm doing here. I did already hot foil it once, but I had too many shims, so it overfoiled a little bit. So I'm refoiling it again here with fewer additional shims for better results. It foiled beautifully this time, and all I need to do now is to use an outer acorn die and cut this piece out in my platinum. Now, I always say that my platinum sits off to the side, and that's why I never show it on video, as I also don't want to move it. This time, I grabbed my phone and I filmed my die cutting portion with my phone. It was not the easiest thing to do, to die cut and film with one hand, but you guys get an idea, and now we're back on the main desk. I'm going to use my sand eraser to erase the overfoiling a little bit. It's hard to tell that there's any overfoiling there, but the edges aren't perfectly crisp. So using the sand eraser fixes this problem. Also, regular eraser is not going to work here. It has to be a sanding eraser. Once everything is done, I'm going to trim my panel to cover the front of an A2 card and assemble everything in place. Even though I use the same supplies here, I'm getting a totally different look. It looks a lot more classy and elegant, and all of this is because of the foil. The foil adds that elegance and exquisiteness to this card. I also die cut the oak leaves for this card like I did for the other cards, but here I used the copper foiled paper from the Spellbinders October Kit of the Months to be a better match to the rest of the card design. And finally, I'm adding gold jewels from Pretty Pink Posh to spice this card up. On the screen, there's a link to a playlist with all of my videos featuring Spellbinders dies. Subscribe now not to miss any new card making tutorials. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye!